Welcome to Rebuilding Careers. I'm Bonni Pomush, CEO of Working Wardrobes, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm facilitating a conversation today with Working Wardrobes leadership team, a truly inspiring and exemplary team of professionals and true experts in their fields. We sat down together last at the beginning of the year, and today we're close to halfway through the year. I wanted to reintroduce each of you and do a bit of a mid-year check-in. So to my right, Benson, our Chief People Officer, Profeta, our Chief Program Officer, Alan Silks, our Chief Financial Officer, and Stefaan Poortman, our Chief Revenue Officer. Thank you each so much for joining me today, and most of all, for dedicating your careers to improving our community. It's this saying I love, that it takes a village to raise a child. It really takes all of our efforts collectively to make our community stronger, and you each do this every day. Every day at Working Wardrobes, we work to empower the lives of others in our community by helping them build bridges over barriers so that they have new choices to make. And I'm curious at this point in time, just looking back on the last 6 months or so, how have you experienced that kind of empowerment so far this year? Stefaan?
Bonnie, it takes me back to something that we were speaking about a number of weeks ago, and that is this idea of empowerment meaning sharing the power. And I think when you came on board, our biggest area of opportunity here was from a cultural perspective, and it's really been about sharing this power, not only amongst us on the leadership team, but also down throughout the whole organization. And also this focus on strengths-based leadership and really prioritizing and focusing on what our strengths are as individuals and having us bring that every day to the benefit of the organization.
Speaking to my heart, Stefaan, because it's true. When we bring out our best in each other, it goes twice as far. Actually, the research says 10 times as far than when we focus on shoring up our weaknesses. What about you, Alan? How are you experiencing empowerment so far this year?
Always speak their mind, embrace their ideas, their recommendations to make the finance department a more efficient and productive and transparent department. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for inviting it in your team to be not just heard. Well, really being heard is such a basic need, I think, that all humans share. And that is to be seen, to be heard, to be loved. And the fact that you're feeling that and creating it makes my soul sing. So thanks for that, Alan. How about you, Marianne? How have you been experiencing empowerment so far this year?
I don't think you can talk about career development without mentioning empowerment. And as much as we love to empower our clients, it's really important that we empower ourselves. And it goes back to not too long ago when you said to me, you are the CEO of the program department. And that meant so much to me, but it also put a lot of responsibility on what I do every day, and I appreciate being able to make some decisions and being responsible for those decisions. So that's what empowerment is for me.
Beautiful. You know, when we had Heidi Zuckerman join us for one of our events, she said something along the lines of, you know, as a leader, we make decisions, right? And you make the best decision you can with the information you have. And what's the worst thing that can happen? You get new information, or the feedback loop says, you know what, that didn't work so well. And what do? You make the next best decision. Right. And Marianne, good for you for taking that empowerment and making good decisions and knowing that you can just make another decision.
Thank you.
How about you, Derek? How are you experiencing empowerment?
So I love the idea of being able to just make a decision and move forward. And if you make a mistake, you get up and you go again. And empowerment for me in being responsible for kind of the people coming into the organization and the people that are here in the organization is just to build a strong culture, have people feel engaged and enjoy working here. And I think that, you know, we're going to talk about best practice or best places to work, I'm sure, again, but you know, I really want Working Wardrobes to be a best place to work in Orange County.
It sure feels like it to me, Derek. Every day, and I am not just saying this, every day I go home and say, wow, another amazing day. Not to say that it wasn't difficult, but to say that it is truly inspiring to be a part of living this mission. So I'm curious, kind of in your Chief People Officer hat, Have you had any surprises this year, or maybe stories of hiring people that stand out to you from the first part of the year?
Yeah, I would say that the most pleasant surprise is that more and more of the candidates that are coming forward are really interested in working here because they're driven to the mission, and they're very passionate about doing something to better kind of the community. It's not so much somebody just looking for a job anymore. They really want to feel like they're part of something bigger.
There's definitely the opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Marianne, any surprises from your first part of the year, or client stories that stand out, or both?
Well, the big surprise for us this year was winning the VETIS
Yes.
Award. The Association of Military Veterans organization awarded us with an award, a national award, to recognize the work that we do with veterans. So that was a huge surprise. The best part of that win was that we were nominated by one of our clients. She was so impressed with the services that she was provided that she thought, I have to do something for this organization, nominated us, and we were awarded the VETI Award, and it was just a phenomenal moment to be able to go up on stage with Michael, our VetNet director, and accept that award. Very touching.
Congratulations.
Yes, it was great. But I would like to share a story of another veteran that we served. Earlier this year, we served a female veteran. Her name was Ronnie. She was having a lot of trouble finding work. She thought that she was being the victim of ageism. She was feeling a little bit of discrimination around her age, and she thought, I'll never get a job, but I really need to work. And we were able to connect her to some temporary housing since she was homeless at the time. And she worked through that. We tried to find her a job. She wasn't very successful in that she wasn't finding that job that she really wanted, that meant a lot to her. Like Derek had mentioned, it's really about finding that job with that mission, and that's what she was looking for. So she was volunteering at the VA at the time, and really finding a lot of fulfillment in that opportunity. She ended up finding permanent housing without a voucher, so she was so proud of herself. And that was as a result of getting a job full-time at the VA. They loved what she was doing and volunteering, and so they ended up hiring her. And she is very happy, very independent right now, and living in a permanent house that she just loves, and she's a happy girl.
Oh, huge congratulations. And this is incredible, the cycle of giving and getting. I think we experience it in our lives. The more we give, the more we get, and how impactful for us to have been able to help her and know that she's also helping others.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Any surprises, Alan, in your part of the Working Wardrobes world, or financials that stand out to you from the first half of the year?
Yeah, I'm really pleased this year to see the continued support of the public and our donors in our social enterprises. Our retail stores and our donation centers are doing extremely well and continuing on from last year. And that is very pleasing because that funds our mission and keeps us going here in Orange County. So I'm not surprised, but I'm very pleased to see that it's still continuing to thrive.
Totally. And I think that shopping at the hangar is actually also very empowering, knowing that not only are you going to leave looking good and feeling good about what you're putting on, but that your purchases are literally helping people. I mean, I'll take two.
Right, absolutely.
Yes, thank you. That's great. What about you, Stefaan? Any surprises the first half of this year, or pieces of sort of the donor stories that might stand out to you from the first half?
From a donor perspective, we came into the year really realizing we could do a better job with major donors. And that call was quickly answered in the form of a phone call that we received right at the end of last year from Donna and Chris Matthews, two new donors to Working Wardrobes, who had made a commitment to themselves to get more involved in philanthropy and had set aside a chunk of money that they wanted to give away to a number of organizations. And they started doing their research online really around their values and what organizations mirrored their values. And And Chris said to me, it was remarkable, literally every word that he was putting in and Googling, our name was coming up and our values, around dignity and empowerment and employment. And Chris and Donna came in for a tour and we were thrilled that they made a donation of $100,000 in early January that they allowed us to use, or they wanted us to use, for a number of different appeals and events that we're doing this year, and put up a $50,000 challenge for our new Rebuilding Careers Coalition. So that was an extraordinary way to start the year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that true partnership of values, right? Values-based giving. I think each of us experiences these values on a daily basis with what we do for Working Wardrobes. The piece that's really, pretty inspiring to me is that we get to do that and make a living and give a living to other people as they prepare to reenter and rebuild their careers. I've been really surprised in a really pleasant way with our management team studying this book, It's the Manager. I'm pretty biased in the world of Gallup and really love research-based leadership practice. And I am just really, enjoy is just not strong enough of a word, but really inspired by the team coming around this learning opportunity together. We share the reading and then we discuss and identify kind of what we want to do with it each time we read a section. And I'm learning from it so much about the workforce of the future, about this paradigm shift happening in different generations, about what employees are looking to and finding a value in their careers and what they want to make out of their lives. I would love to hear, how is it, this learning we're doing, transforming your own work or your own perspective?
So for my area, I really am excited about the culture and the employee brand chapters. Chapters.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, a lot of it's very validating to what we're doing, that we're doing it right. And I think that with a few tweaks, we can even do it better. And the great thing about doing this book is that we're all reading it together, we're sharing it, we're kind of putting some things into action. We're going into another couple of chapters and reading and repeating it, and I think it's coming off really well and working out for the team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What about you, Marianne?
Bonnie, the one thing that really stood out for me in that book was that the quote that said, "Everyone wants a good job." And we've known that for over 30 years. But to see it in print and just validate what we've been doing really meant a lot. But that being said, the workforce of the future is changing. It's changing drastically. We feel like we're kind of past COVID. It's almost post-COVID, we can say, but not quite. But we've seen so many changes, and we have to look at the different generations in the workforce. The baby boomers are aging out. They're starting to retire. We're seeing fewer and fewer of those in the workforce. And the millennials and these Gen Xers are coming up. Gen X is actually one of the smallest generations in the workplace, so there's not a lot of them, but the millennials are taking over in force, and they want different things. They don't want a boss, they want a coach. They don't want a job, they want it to be about their life. So there are so many things that we really have to look at, especially when we're hiring for our own team. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to working with our clients and having them assess where they are on this and what kind of experiences they come from, and how did their parents and those mentors for them, how did they talk about this? Mm-hmm. So it's really an interesting time, and I think that this book is really going to help us help our clients.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating too, like just sort of hearing from Derek first and then from you, right? Sort of the internal and the external facing needs. But they are the same needs, just, in a different direction. I love that. It's also incredible to me, this piece I want to hone in on about from my boss to my coach, this focus that many of us were raised in this paradigm of, sort of authoritative, do what you're told. And instead, we're learning how to coach and ask and guide and discover really that there are many, many, many paths to the same outcome. And that goes back to empowerment, right? Empowering people to get their own way, and allowing room for everyone's, path to be forged. What about you, Stefaan? Does anything stand out to you about the book that you would like to share?
Well, it was actually the coaching piece.
Was it?
And yeah, and really this idea that what's also changing is the sort of the command and control leadership that you talk to more of a supportive servant leadership that a number of us here are partial to. But this idea, I think also that people no longer join one organization for their entire career. And it's about setting people up for success in their career and taking an interest in that and helping them learn and grow along the way through this coaching mentality. And I think ultimately, yes, it is about values, but it also ties back into strength-based leadership. It's not about people hearing what they're doing wrong. It's about what are my strengths? How can I continue to cultivate those and continue to refine them so that I have a promising and fulfilling career?
Right, develop me, the whole person, invest in me, and we know that investing in you reaps results in the company, whatever the company is. This is also part of that book where we are learning as coach this piece about ongoing conversation about performance and improvement and success and celebrating that. And I find that really powerful too. We talked the last time about beginning of the year, we set some intentions and we actually even wrote our biggest priorities on big rocks, and they were put in this jar where the jar symbolizes time. And we know if we put the big rocks, the big priorities in first, that there's enough time, there's enough space for them. And from there, the smaller priorities and smaller. Another book, in addition to It's the Manager, that I really love and use as a lot of my leadership habits is James Clear, Atomic Habits. And part of his sort of habit is literally a quarterly review and reflect process. And this is very much the same thing as the ongoing coaching and the ongoing performance conversations. It's not an event, it's not a form to fill out, it's an ongoing, and it can be a self-conversation, but really powerful if you can do it with a coach, right? And have that really honest opportunity to give and receive feedback. So I'm, again, mid-year checking in here, thinking about the big rocks I put in the jar, and I would love to hear from each of you, your own self-reflection. I am reflecting on, I set first and foremost coming out of COVID, I think this is very, timely, that health. Number one, always, no matter what, is my health. I will always take my body and my health with me, and for me this is super primary in my practice, and that habit of taking care of myself and being my most healthful person. And I've so far kept to that and still working out at least 6 days a week, still really eating clean and healthy, keeping up my supplements and my chiropractic and my probiotics and all the things. Really have gotten a lot of joy and solace out of yoga as my primary exercise practice over the last 6 months, and I attribute that to my schedule at Working Wardrobes. So doing really good on that rock. My second big rock is about relationships and really wanting to invest time and energy into meaningful relationships. And one of the things that I'm reviewing and reflecting on a daily basis is I reorganize my contacts so that the people that I sometimes don't call all the time but are very important to me are at the top of my contacts, so that I haven't called my auntie in a while, I haven't called my cousin in a while. I want to have that reminder to make sure that I am, investing in these relationships that matter. And at work, I think that comes out to a lot in my calendar. I make sure that I audit my calendar and I'm seeing that I'm spending specifically time with each of you and time with the team that I get to lead directly. But also making sure that I have some room for improvement. And I think that I discovered this in the last month, that I really want and need to spend more time with our supporters and our donors and the people who are our partner agencies. So I'm really making an effort to get more of those times on my calendar looking forward. My third priority focus area was to contribute. It's really important to me, back to that strengths-based leadership, that I'm contributing my best self. And I think I spent a lot of time discovering and learning and getting a lot of the operational, knowledge, and am now really seeing how I can uniquely contribute. And aim to contribute more of my unique talents and gifts to the organization, but also to the relationships within it. So far, I'd say I'm definitely honoring my priorities, but definitely have area to grow. Stefaan, you want to kick us off? We'll just go around.
Sure.
How you doing? What's your
Sure.
review and reflect?
So self-care was one of mine too. I am blessed to have a family at home and 3 young children, and then I run 2 teams here at Working Wardrobes. And the old adage of, on the airplane, when the oxygen mask comes down, if you don't put yours on first, you can't help anybody else. And it's same with self-care. So I set some goals that I'm happy to say I'm very much on track for, in terms of working out and taking some time for myself and eating healthy and some of these other areas. My second one was really prioritization. I find sometimes that while my primary focus is to bring in revenue, I can get bogged down in operational needs. They're important, but if I'm not prioritizing on a continual basis, then the large rocks for the organization won't get addressed. And so I'm constantly trying to reprioritize and delegate and ensure that I'm handing off what I can and making sure that I'm letting go of what I don't need to be involved in. And the third is communication. This idea that a little bit of upfront work can save you a lot of time on the back end, and really ensuring that one of the most important things that I've learned as a leader is when you do make a decision, it's often the why or the because, right? And taking the time to communicate that is very important. So.
Nice job. In 2021, Working Wardrobes earned the distinction as one of Orange County's best places to work. Although we don't have an official word yet, I very much expect that we're going to have this distinction again in 2022. I'd love to hear from each of your perspectives. What makes a best place to work, and how does Working Wardrobes measure up?
It's the people. It's the people, it's the culture, it's the people we work with, it's the people we choose to work with. The values that we have core values here that are very strong. We use them when we interview for candidates, and we make sure that we're the best group of people that we can, so that we can provide the best services to our clients.
Yeah. What about you, Miriam? What makes the best place to work?
I have to agree with Derek. I can't think of anything original, because I was thinking it was exactly the culture and the people and how important that is, the camaraderie that we have, the getting along with each other, the collaboration. That is so important for our success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking 3 words: leadership, culture, and mission. And that's what makes us the best. I mean, coming to work every day and then going home and knowing that you've accomplished something that's going to affect someone else's life for the better is the power of a paycheck. It's making coming to work every day that much more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, it's really being cutting edge in terms of how work is evolving and focusing on some of these things like we were alluding to in the book. I mean, it's, being dynamic as it relates to work schedules. It's this idea of being a coach and not a manager, this idea of how performance reviews are adapting. And it's really having our finger on the pulse in that regard and changing with the times rather than being a laggard to that. And I think that makes people want to come and work here, because it shows that we really do care and we're walking the walk.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly for me about the mission first. And I think there is huge kudos that this is the string that connects us all, this connection to the mission, wanting to make a positive impact in our community and in specifically the lives of others. And those lives include the people we work with. We are so treasuring the opportunity that we have every day as a leadership team to impact lives in our community in a positive way. And with our audience here, I just want to say to each of you, thank you so much for lending your talents, your expertise, your time, and your dedication to this mission. It is an incredible feat that you each face daily, and it is truly an honor to work with each of you.
Thank you.
Our organization, even though we talk about being in workforce development, I sort of say we are in the bridge building business. We build bridges over barriers, and that helps people overcome something in their life. It could be justice involvement, it could be the transition from military to civilian work, it could be a low-income senior, it could be a man, a woman, a young person. We help them build bridges to their own empowerment, and that empowerment through a paycheck. Marianne, what are some of the changes in the workplace that you and your team are helping address to prepare our clients to re-enter the workforce?
There are so many changes that are going on in the workforce. And like I said earlier, what is the workforce of the future going to look like? Right now, we're seeing so many remote options. I just saw a website the other day for people who only want to work remote. So those types of jobs are all listed in one place just to make it easier for people. And yet there are some people who don't want to work remote. There are some people who are finding that after working remote for 2 years, they need that interaction. So it really goes back to our roots, where we meet clients where they're at. What do they need? What can we help them with? And what can we help facilitate in the job market? There's the issue of living wage versus minimum wage. We're all seeing minimum wage go up, but not only that, there are so many places right now that are offering above minimum wage jobs just to get workers. Is that good? Is that a good thing? Is that going to hold for a long time? Are people going to start buying houses and getting into better living arrangements because of that? We hope so, but we're not sure. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the employment field. And another thing is training. We are seeing so many people who are in need of computer training. We all know what happens, especially here in Orange County, with people being laid off in the service industries. So a lot of the customer service jobs, now everyone's trying to hire, but no one wants to go back to those jobs. They were minimum wage, they may be a little higher now, but those are the jobs that are available. So when they want to make that transition into a job that maybe needs some above the basic computer skills, they need training. We need to help our people that we're serving to get into that type of a job by offering that type of computer training, the next level up from your basics. And there are many other jobs that require training. I mean, look at us, we've all had to just go through a cybersecurity training. And you learn a lot that a lot of the other people that we're trying to help don't know. So basics like that, if we can help with those types of trainings so that people get those jobs, they're a little bit step above. And those are some of the issues that we're facing.
Marianne, what you were just talking about is interesting because our clients are really, that's the employee side of it, right? We're improving the employee, but the employer also benefits from this, right? Because they're getting a more qualified candidate in the job. Derek, I'm curious about your experience as, we hear on the news all of the time about the difficulties employers are having getting quality employees. What can you share with us about what Working Wardrobes is doing to help employers as well as employees?
Yeah, it's been tough. The job market has been tough over the last couple of years because of the pandemic, and it's been hard to find good employees. We're doing things like job fairs. We've got different types of promotional things that we're doing, a lot of networking, and participating with partner agencies and things like that to try and find good employees.
Mm-hmm. It's like undeniable, right, that relationships matter, and it's there's only so much that you can get to with your merit and your abilities, where the relationships and the way that we're even able to broker these relationships between potential candidates and employers, with job fairs, with our career navigators and coaches, and all of the relationships that help people find their way.
Bonnie, it's also about soft skills. Right? For us to prepare our clients, they have to have those soft skills. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're seeing, that employers can train for anything once they're on the job. And there's a lot of training dollars out there as well for that. But it's the soft skills. It's finding that person that wants that job and can come to that job with a sense of dignity, a sense of being on time, a good work ethic. So those are really important things that we can help with as well.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Marianne, because as I've onboarded here, you've taught me some of these soft skills that we train our clients. And I think I didn't really realize how important it is to learn how to be adaptable in the workplace. I mean, I know we have all experienced a skyrocketed adaptability quotient with COVID, but in the workforce and being able to, even going back to your comments earlier about working within the different generations and understanding the soft skill of how to communicate in a different way to a different person. These are really important skills, and Working Wardrobes does an amazing job of helping clients amp up those skills. This year, in sort of that realm of relationship building, being adaptable, Stefaan, you launched a new way of raising funds to fund this mission and to help people, and you set out to invite individuals. You mentioned Donna and Chris Matthews, some of our founding members of the Rebuilding Careers Coalition. You created an opportunity for people to make their dollars go further by coming together around it. Would you share a little bit about it with us, about the coalition and what it's accomplishing?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say it is a collaborative effort. The team was very participatory in this, and we really looked at the end of last year, and we launched Rebuilding Careers coming out of the pandemic. We as an organization had rebuilt after the fire with a need to help people rebuild their careers more than ever, right? With the tremendous unemployment numbers that we saw coming out of the pandemic. And so our Rebuilding Careers program was born, and it's really also been an evolution of other programmatic services that we've provided, and it's our umbrella organization. So we wanted to come up or create this group, an affinity group, a collective of people and organizations that are coming together to support the Rebuilding Careers program. And we launched the Rebuilding Careers Coalition. We've just in April started our founding member drive, and we have a $200,000 goal to support 80 clients through the Rebuilding Careers program. And I'm thrilled to say that we've raised over $130,000 so far, and we're hoping to continue to build founding members throughout the end of this year. It's really been a mix of individual and corporate members. We're seeing some of our longtime supporters, whether they're Pacific Premier Bank, coming in and supporting at a level, and also a lot of new donors, whether it's Roland DGA or Chris and Donna Matthews, and a few others as well. So it's really been a mix of individuals and corporates, and we're really excited about the direct impact that this collective will have on the clients that we serve, and this idea of, my dollars only go so far alone, but together we can go so much further.
Well, I think there's also, again, back to relationships, there's this beautiful opportunity for people who share this desire to make a difference with their dollars, to get to know each other, and to be not just a part of a giving collective about the giving part, but this values collective, and this, I want to be in a relationship with other people that share these same values, just like we appreciate about our workplace, that we have these shared values.
Correct, and we're going to build programming out of it as well that facilitates the opportunity for networking and shared values, and programming that speaks to the values that the members are bringing themselves. So we're very excited about the Rebuilding Careers Coalition.
Me too. Well, it's in the midst of so much uncertainty and so much change over the last few years. Alan, is anything staying the same?
I wish it was. I mean, there's so much affecting our economy right now. We're still feeling the fallout of COVID, the supply chain, the high inflation, and we're in the middle of a war right now. Not us, but part of the world is, and we're feeling the effects of that. The numbers constantly change as a result of how we're performing, but the information that we pull from those numbers, the reports, that never changes. And that determines how we can plan and how we can better serve our community and our programs. And that will remain constant. As long as the numbers are correct and the reports are thorough, we can better plan always. And that will remain constant as long as I'm here.
Well, I actually really appreciate that, because it's kind of like a thermostat, right? Like, you're constantly getting this feedback about where we are and where we want to go, and bridging that gap. It's just like the gap we bridge for our clients, right? We identify first, where are they? Second, where do they wish to go? What are their goals, their career opportunities, and then we help them build bridges over whatever their barriers are to accomplish those goals. I think every day, one thing that I see stays the same here too, and in addition to the numbers, not that they're not moving, but the way we understand, there you go. And that is this individualized approach. I am so proud of how we acknowledge our humanity and our individual contributions, our individual strengths of our staff and our teammates and our clients, our donors, our supporters, our grantors. There are individuals that are doing this work and making it possible, and honoring that is kind of top of my list. The other piece that I don't see changing is this value of empowerment with dignity. And I am so proud to be a part of an organization that is helping others be empowered. And that's at every part of the village it takes to help improve our community. And doing that with love, respect, dignity. In a word, dignity is so powerful. And really, we, I think, experience that ourselves and give that on a daily basis. I am so empowered myself when I think about the work that we do and the opportunity we have to change the world we live in. And I, again, am so treasuring this opportunity to work with each of you. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy day to have this conversation with me, to check in on the year. And huge kudos to each of you for the difference you're making in the world we live in.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bonnie.
Well, this has been another episode of Rebuilding Careers. Thank you so much for joining us. I certainly learned something and hope you did too. We will see you back here next time.